Hi, welcome to our part number 6 of our online Sims experience. Today we will do 3 interesting things. The first one will be to integrate Ready Player Me avatars into our experience. We won't be only using the Ready Player Me avatar as we did in the previous tutorial, but we will be using the SDK to integrate the avatar configurator directly into our project. Then in our interface, we will add a button to let the player dance. It will open you the door to make other actions. And finally, we will fix the way we handle the events of player movement to make it more optimized. As always, have a look at what we will build together in this episode. As always, let's start by cloning the previous part, so part 5, to start building our 6th part. Go to code, copy the HTTPS address and clone it. Then in the terminal, go to the server folder, run yarn to install the dependencies, and run yarn dev to start the development server. Then open another terminal, go to the client, run yarn to install the dependencies, and yarn dev to start the client development server. You can click on the URL here to open the client. When you open it, you can see your previous character. You can move in the room, but it's empty because I disabled the object for the shop. Let's re-enable them. Open the index file from the server, search for items, and uncomment all the items here. And you can save. Now our room is filled with objects. We will see in another tutorial how to save rooms and to create different rooms. Before adding the SDK, we will change the avatar to use my own Ready Player Me avatar. Go to Animated Woman. First thing, I think we can rename it to Avatar. We will also rename the file. And in Experience, instead of Animated Woman, we'll be using Avatar. There is a shortcut with F2 to do it, but I chose the complicated way, Avatar. We can open Avatar component, add a new prop named Avatar URL. And we will set the default to the URL of my model. You can get it from a Ready Player Me website. So now, instead of loading that avatar that comes from our model folder here in public models, we will be using the avatar URL. So we don't need any more below the component to preload it. But if we try to open it right now, we will have issue because of the animation that don't fit that avatar. In my other tutorials, like the portfolio or the lip sync tutorial, I show you how to use Mixamo animations. But now Ready Player Me has an animation library made for those avatars that we can use. It's a GitHub repository and you have the different sections of animation. You can open it, for example, dance for male. You can scroll and see the different animations. They provide an FBX file that is not compatible out of the box with Three.js and React 3 Fiber. So I made some research and I dived deeper into Ready Player Me issues. And by chance, there was this issue. The author is Crazy Ramirez, and he said that he converted all of them for Babylon.js into GLB format. And thanks to him, he provided a repository with the GLB animation that we can use and are compatible with Three.js. Of course, I will add the link in the description. You can go to Resources, Models, Animations, and it's the same path than Ready Player Me library. Masculine, dance, expression, idle, it's the same, but inside, for example, dance, it's GLB files. For now, we will need 2 ones. So let's go to masculine and we will need a standing idle one. So in the idle, by the way, we are using the masculine because the feminine are very too feminine on masculine model, but the masculine one are okay for feminine. We will be using standing idle 001. We can download it here. And we will also go to masculine locomotion, so it's for movements. We'll search for walk, not crouch walk. And we will be using the walk 001.glb. Of course, try different ones and enjoy. Download it here. In public, let's create a new folder that we'll name animations, and let's drag and drop our two animations here. Now we have our two animations. In our model, we will start by loading and preloading them. We do the same, use gltf.preload. Then it's animations and the name of the animation. So it's walk001.glb, and same for standing idle 001. Now we can go on top of our component. After loading the GLB, we will stop getting the materials and animations here from the model, but we will load our animations one by one. So const animations, but we will name it like walk animation. It will be equal to use gltf of the path of the walk animation. We do the same for idle animation. And here the path is standing idle. For use animations, we need to pass an array of animations. So it's an array of walk animation of the first animation, and the idle animation, it's the first one because they only contain one animation each. Okay, now we need to render our avatar because it's a bit different from before. Here we don't need all of this that we got from the gltf file. We'll be using a primitive. The object we'll use is the clone, and we need a ref on our object. We'll name it avatar. Let's create this reference on top of it. So const avatar is equal to use reference. And now we have it. We will need to pass it to the use animation. So it's based on this model here. It's avatar, not on the parent group. Last change about the animations is here the name won't be character armature run, but it will be the name of the animation. So walk is for run, and idle, it's standing idle 001. It's the way it's named inside the file. Let's also set it as the default animation when it starts. Now if we reload, we can see our avatar is in standing stance, but if we move it, you can see that our avatar is moving more than it should. It's because in the animation, the character is also moving forwards, but we are already moving it. To understand what inside our animation is moving our character, we can import that animation in Blender. So go to File, Import, GLB, go to Client, Public, Animations, and Walk. We can remove the cube here, and we have our character animation here. We can enlarge the bottom panel for the animation, then hit A to have everything that is happening, and we can look at the different parts to understand what is making our character moving. So here, if we play it manually, you can see the character is moving. We want it to stay at the main position at 0 here. We can disable some animations, and if you disable location, you can see it's the hips animation that is causing it. Knowing that, you have two options. The first one is to rework the animation and export it as a GLB, or to make it generic and to be able to use different files without opening Blender every time. You can change the code to reset the position of that very bone. Let's go to our use frame. So every time we will reset the position of that bone. So we need to get the hips because we know it's what is moving. It will be equal to avatar.current get object by name and hips. Of course, you could store it elsewhere to not find it every time, so it could use less resources. Then you do hips.position.set. You want it to be on 0. For the Y position, I don't know it. Maybe it's moving up and down because of the hips moving, so you can keep the actual position. hips.position.y and 0. Let's try it, and our character stay in place. It's only us that control the movement. Now it's time to allow our players, our users, to change their avatar using Ready Player Me. Before we learned how to use our own avatar with the player login, But this time we will be using the developer sections of Ready Player Me. Let's go to developer login. I have already done the registration process. It's quite easy and it's free, so I let you do it by yourself. You will need to create an application. It's what I did there. You have different options available. You will need to have a subdomain, an app ID, an organization ID. And be sure to use the full body avatar type, because if you use only the upper part of the body, you won't have the legs for our experience. Once you have it, go to documentation and go to the React section. Open the quick start guide and let's install the SDK for React. So open the terminal, be sure you are in the client and run yarn add and the React SDK. We can restart it and hide the terminal. Then what we need to do is to use avatar creator viewer. It will display like an iframe into our experience. We just need to pass the subdomain and we'll have an onAvatar exported event with the new URL of our avatar. So let's do it. Go to UI. It's where we have all our user interface. Let's add another mode. It doesn't need to be global. It's just related to the UI, so we can directly use a state. Let's name it avatar mode, set avatar mode. Use state. Let's make it true by default for now, but later we will make it to false. Because it's an iframe that needs to be on top of everything, we will put it separately. So let's wrap everything into empty brackets. And here, if we have avatar mode, then we will add the SDK. The component name is avatar creator. It doesn't want to auto import it, so I will do it manually. Import avatar creator from Ready Player Me /React avatar creator. Okay, I just remember something. The documentation state that package, but if we go to the GitHub, the one we install, they say it's deprecated and we need to use RPM React Avatar Creator. So let's install this one instead. Open the terminal, stop everything. We can remove the one we installed and add the correct one. Now we shouldn't have any more issue. Go to UI, it should find it. Okay, perfect. And now we can continue our code. We need to pass the subdomain. So me, it's Wawa Sensei tutorial. We have a class name prop, so we can style it with Tailwind. So fixed, top 0, left 0, put it on top of everything and make it full screen. And finally, there is an on avatar exported when the user finish choosing its avatar. We have a callback function with an event, console.log event.data, and inside we have the URL. Okay, when you reload the experience, you have it in a full screen, but you can embed it into a model. It's just me that decided this. You can either use customize or select. If you select it, it will open this, which is weird, but it looks like it also triggers my event with the URL of the avatar. What we will do is when we have this event, we will just close it. Let's see if it's also trigger, like confirm. I choose customize. Okay, here the event isn't trigger and I will let the user choose it. Then they will use next and then the event will be triggered. Perfect. So we know we want to do it. So when we have this, we want to close the model or the UI of the avatar picker. And we want to tell the server, so with socket.emit, we need to import the socket. So do we have access to it? Socket manager, it's exported. So yeah, we can have access to it. Import socket from socket manager. Socket.emit, we can name it character avatar update. And we pass event of data and URL. Let's handle this event in our server code. Open index of server. Find all our event handler here, just below the character. Socket.on How did we name it? It was character avatar update and the function handler. We receive directly the avatar URL and we need to implement our logic here. We need to find the character of the socket open, so the one that changed its avatar. So it's a find with the ID is equal to socket ID. Then we will update the avatar URL. It will be avatar URL and emit characters with the list of new characters. For now, our characters didn't have avatar URL, so let's add the default one where we create our character. So characters.push here. Let's add avatar URL and we'll be using the default one that we were finding here. Of course, you can change that logic and force the user to select an avatar when it logins before joining the experience. I decided to preload everyone with my avatar. Now we have it. We need to go to experience and here add the prop avatar URL. It would be equal to character.avatar URL. And in socket manager, because we emit the characters event we already have before, it will automatically update our characters list. If we reload, we can select our character. Let's take this one. It closes it, but we have a blank screen while it's loading the character. And then we have our character that can walk. Let's add a picker here to be able, during the experience, to change our avatar. Go to UI, and it will be right after the back button. We'll do avatar picker. So it will only be when we are not in build mode and not in shop mode. We need a button like the other ones and close the button. On click, what it will do is set avatar mode to true. Let's search in hero icons, one that would suit it, like user. Maybe this one is okay. Let's put it inside our button and save. Now we have our button here. We can click on it. It opens the Ready Player Me. It restarts it. And we can select another avatar. We have that blank screen. Let's handle this. To not stop the rendering, we can go to experience. Here, instead of rendering directly the avatar, we can wrap it into a suspense. So it will render the other things, but it will render nothing when the avatar is loading. So the key, we need to put it on the suspensive object. Now, if we change our avatar, I have it in cache, so let's clear our cache first. Now let's try to change to another character. We have, while it's loading, we can move because the camera isn't catched by the fact that we have our character. And now it's fine. Oh, we can see our avatar doesn't have shadows. We need to enable it because we are not using anymore the destructuration using use GLTF. We only have primitives, so the logic will be the same that we used for item. We did this code to enable the shadow on every mesh. Let's go to our avatar. On top, let's use effect and do it here. It was quite simple. Now we have shadows also on the avatar. Let's add some action on our avatar, for example, to make it dense. To find the animation you want to use, go back to Ready Player Me animation library and open the dense folder. Then you can scroll and see all the dense animations. Then go back to Crazy Ramirez repository, resources, models, animations, masculine or feminine if you decided to use this one, dense, and download the one you want. There is also the female one, so use the M if you want masculine. I will be using the first one. Drop the animation in the animations folder like the other ones, and let's load it on our character. Animation, dense animation. The name is denses001, and on the bottom of the file, preload it. Denses idle 00, not idle, just denses. Let's go back to our UI. Below the avatar, so just after it, we'll add a dense button. We won't find a dense icon, so maybe we can use something related to musical note. Copy the JSX paste it instead of the previous SVG. And on click, it should trigger an event, so socket.emit dance. Of course, you can go further by adding multiple dances and multiple buttons to trigger different things. And for the dance system, we will need to go to the server to handle this event. And we will make it simpler than the way we handled movement. That's why I want to update it just after. So what we will do is socket.onDance. We will just emit to everyone that our player is dancing, and we will pass the ID. It will be the socket ID, so we know what character is dancing. Now we need to handle this event, but previously we handled everything into socket manager and we passed down to the characters, so it reload each character and re-render it, so it was not effective at all. Instead, let's add in avatar an event handler so it doesn't recreate anything. Let's add a use effect in our code. What can trigger it is either nothing when it's instantiated or the ID of our user, but it shouldn't change, but let's add it. Inside it, we will do socket on player dance. We'll call on player dance. And we will return socket.off player dance. So if it's reinstantiated, it will turn off that callback. Now let's add our event handler function on player dance. We will receive an object with the ID. So if the value is equal to our character ID, so if it corresponds to that specific character, we will set the animation to dances 001. But no, this is not the correct logic because we have a use frame that is setting the animation if we walk or not. So we will need to add a new state like set is dancing, and we will set it to true. Let's go on the top with the animation is dancing and set is dancing. We'll set it to false by default. And where we set the animation, so if we are walking, we don't want to dance, we are walking. But if we are standing idle, doing nothing, either we are dancing, so we set the animation to dances 001, otherwise we are just doing nothing. But that won't work because we didn't add the dance animation to our use animations here. So we need to add it to the list of animation to load and to create actions from those animations. When we reload, it automatically opens the avatar picker. Let's disable it. Go to UI, avatar mode, and set it to false by default. Okay, so now when we reload, we directly have our avatar. We can dance. Does it work? Yes, perfect. Let's try with another character. So if we start dancing with one character, is it trigger on the other? Yes. But I think we have an issue. When our character walks, it shouldn't dance again. So let's set it to false after we are walking. Go to avatar, walk. Where are we setting it to walk? We need to set is dancing to false. Okay, now when they walk, they stop dancing. Perfect. Let's try to change the avatar from one to the other to see if it's dispatched correctly. If we select this one, we now see both characters. But we might have an issue if we just change an object to an avatar that is already loaded. For example, this one, we will change our sunglasses. We go here, glasses, and we select new one. Perfect. Next. So it didn't update our character because the URL doesn't change from Ready Player Me. Unfortunately, we will need to use an ugly solution. We need to go to our server on character avatar update. Here, instead of setting directly the avatar URL, we can use split and remove the quotation mark to add query URL parameters, and we will add one ourselves. So for example, we'll add the date. We can do new date of get time. because of this parameter, it won't use the cache of the model and it will try to reload it. And it's what we want. Let's try it, for example, on this character here. Select it, customize, and let's change the sunglasses with very cool ones. Next. And it didn't work. Let's have a look at why. Oh, it seems it worked. Which one did I change? Oh, okay, it's this one I changed. Okay, so it worked. We now have one with those glasses and the other one, which isn't updated, has the previous ones. Let's change the avatar here to another character so we don't have twice the same. And you can see this weird movement every time. We will fix it by changing the movement system. Our current code from the server is correct. We say player move and we pass the character that is moving. But it's in our client that we are doing something that is not the best way to handle it. We have a state with all characters. So where is the player move? Here. And we are updating our state so it will re-render all characters and set the path with the new one. We don't want it anymore. So we can get rid of it. On player move, we don't want it. We won't handle it here. We can save it. We go to our avatar. And like we did for dance, where is it? Here. We have a use effect on our socket. So we can add other event handler. On its player move, we will call on player move. And we will unbind the event also here. Let's create our function handler for on player move. We have the value. Same, we need to check that we are on the correct character. Otherwise, we ignore it. We are not concerned by this event. And for the logic, we have it somewhere where we set the path. So it's here. We were using the path from the props. We don't need it anymore, so we can remove it. Let's also ensure that we don't have the path here as a prop. We don't need it. We go to our avatar, player move function. Here we can put our logic, but we don't get the path from the props. We get it from the value. Now, if we move our characters, it's just this character handling this event, and it's not all characters re-rendered and handling the path as a prop. It's way cleaner. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I think we are getting very close to the end of this video series. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see before I finish this video tutorial series. What I'm thinking would be the next episode would be a lobby, so you can create your room, join a room, and save it with persistent storage, because currently the shop and the editor mode are restarted every time we restart the server. If you want to help the channel grow, please hit the like button and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to not miss the upcoming video tutorials. If you want to continue learning React 3 Fiber, you have my paid course available right now. You have the link in the description, or you can watch my other free video tutorials available here.